Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Practitioner Training webinar. We're so excited to have you on. This is our webinar, follow-up webinar that we do just to make sure that you know the entire Google Doc, how to work it, and so you can be familiar with it. So the very first thing that we're going to do is the copy that you were sent of your Google Doc, I want you to pull that up. You'll see up in the top left-hand corner something that says Group K. So you should have the link to that. It says Group K on your Google Doc. Group K on your Google Doc. It will look just like this. And actually, rather than pulling yours up, why don't you just look at mine for now? But once we're done and you have that pulled up with the webinar, you're actually going to go up here to where it says File. And the very first thing you're going to do when we get off this webinar is you're going to go down to Make a Copy. And you're going to click that. I'm not going to click it here, but once you click it on yours, well, you know what, I'll just click it on mine. So when it says make a copy, you're going to rename it. So I'm going to name mine Allison, Allison's copy. And you can put your name in there, or you can even say something like my copy. And then that way you know that's the one that you can mark up. And once I click OK, as you can see up here, it actually opens a new one that says up at the top, My Copy. Now, if I want to make any changes or I want to type in notes, this call is so awesome or something like that that's just for me, I'm going to type it into mine, and then it only shows up on mine. But when I go back to the master sheet, it's not going to show up because this is the master sheet that we use for everybody. So when you're making notes, and we'll talk more about the areas where you make notes, you always want to go to your copy, which will also show up in your Google Drive. Okay, so back to the master copy now. Welcome to the Practitioner Training Program. And this document will keep you organized and up to date with all your assignments for the mentoring program. If you go down here to the bottom, let's go to the first tab, which says Monthly Call Contents. This is just a rough outline of what each of our calls every month is going to look like. So we're going to open the call with successes, shout-outs, celebrations. We're going to do group declarations, which we'll explain in a minute. We're going to talk about a personal mentoring tool you used in your life and a new foot zoning tool, also which will be included in the homework for each month. We're going to answer questions on last month's homework, introduce a new topic, give a general explanation, draw attention to live videos, and then go over the homework for the next month. So pretty simple. Today we are not going to be following this outline because our first call is specifically just to go over this document and to make sure you're prepared for subsequent calls, which we will use this formula. And so be prepared. A couple things to note on this. Be prepared because every month we're going to ask you, what successes did you have the month before? What are the things that you could celebrate? You're also going to be put into partnerships, and notice the good things that your partner does, your accountability partner, and maybe you want to do a shout out to them, like, great job, notice that you did this really well. Okay, so just be paying attention to that. And as you have questions throughout the month and homework, of course, you can always ask us either on the Facebook group page. So if you haven't joined that yet, the Soul Source Reflexology Facebook group, great place to ask questions. You can also reach us by text or by email. But if there are questions that you can wait, you can ask those on the call each month. All right, so let's move on to student notes. This is where you get to take notes for yourself every time that we meet. Now on this master document, I might type in a few notes as we go over things that everybody can look at. But for the most part, if you go back to your copy, as we're on the call, you can go to student notes and you can write in different things, like maybe we hear from Sue on this call. And she has her program goal of foot zoning 100 people in 1 week. Now that's not a real goal, but we're just going to put it in there. What item they're implementing this week, Smile, and who's her accountability partner? Well, it's Mary. And maybe you just want to make a note of that so that you can keep track of everybody in the program, or maybe you just want to write down your program goals or the things that you're implementing this week or your accountability partner. And you'll notice that we have months throughout this, so you can take notes on your own copy. Now I'm going to go back to the master copy, Group K. You'll notice since I wrote on my copy that this copy is clean. The next is contacts. So this is where we're going to put everybody's contact information that's in the program. So since we'll be reusing the recording of this training, I'm not putting people's names in right now for everybody to see, but you'll notice on yours that we can put those in. So you want to get the name and information of people in your program, just like I have mine over here. So if I were filling mine out, I would put Allison. And this is where you can write in the master copy sheet. So you can actually put your name in here. I'm going to put my phone number, which you also see over there, so people know my phone number. They can get a hold of me, and my best email address, AllisonLarson@msn.com. Okay, and I'm also going to put here where I live. I live in Star, Idaho, so that people can get a hold of me and know, hey, you know what, if I'm visiting Idaho, Allison lives there, I have her phone number, I'm going to give her a call, maybe send her an email because I want to get with her, I want to exchange foot zones or talk with her or whatever. Now this sheet is really valuable for you if you have different questions, or say you want to exchange foot zones with somebody in the program so you can practice on each other. This is where they're going to get you are going to get their information. Now, as we go throughout this program, I want to pause and just make note of this. You might have some questions by now. Up here in the corner, you'll see a little chat box. If you have any questions, I just want you to click on that and type the questions in, because Alex is actually live on this and he is answering questions. So if you have any questions as we go throughout this, since I can't hear audio from you, you're going to be chatting it in, you're going to be typing it in the box, and he's going to be answering it. So let's just take a break right now. If any, write those questions in, and so that you can have those for Alex. So just take a moment, type any questions you have. I'm going to delete these boxes here on our master copies to make room for you to type in your information. All right, so while Alex is answering those questions, we're going to go ahead and go on. The next tab down here that you're going to see is the Declarations tab. I love declarations. So these are suggestions of things that you can say out loud to yourself or declare every day that are going to help you be successful in this foot zoning program. Now, I have helped hundreds of students go through this program. I've seen the ones that have succeeded, and I've seen the ones who haven't succeeded. And there's some commonalities between the people who successfully get their practitioner certification within the 6-month time period. And that is, one of those is that they do their declarations. So maybe just pick 1 or 2 of these to focus on a week, or maybe even only 1 or 2 to focus on a month. But I want you to say them out loud every day. So I'm going to say the first 2. I am a powerful instrument for change. I help guide others to find their own solutions to greater health and wellness. Now say these out loud every single morning. Pick 1 or 2, or maybe you want to say all 6, or maybe you want to add some of your own. The important thing is that you're making statements out loud that will help you succeed in the program, and they're going to also help your subconscious know what you want to go for, which is definitely success. All right, so the next tab down here talks about accountability partners. Now, throughout the program, you are going to have or be assigned an accountability partners. Sometimes we have groups of 2, and sometimes we have groups of 3. If you live close to each other, you're going to be meeting in person. If you do not live close to each other, it's not possible for you to meet in person. You're going to be doing accountability calls. So on here, there's the format for both accountability partnership meetings and accountability partnership calls. Again, to be held accountable for by us. But it's something that if you want to succeed, and again, I've seen the threads of people who are successful. The people who are successful take advantage of their accountability partners. It's an opportunity for you to have peer support. You can go to your accountability partners to ask them questions. You can go to your accountability partners for a practice together. You can hold the phone or have someone hold the phone right up to your foot, and you can show them different spots on the foot. But make use of your accountability partners. So let's go over this real quickly. So for the live accountability partnership requirements, those are columns A, B, and C. So A just talks a little bit about the purpose for accountability partnerships, to get support on your homework and your one-on-ones. Number 2, to build strategic alliances. And number 3, to get new solutions. And you can read those a little bit more in depth for yourself. If you go to column B here, you'll see that the partnerships are student-led. If you're meeting in person, the meeting should be held once a week. And really per month, just hold one meeting together per month, and then you can do the other 3 over the phone, which it states here. Calls, if you do a call, should be at least 15 minutes long, and you can continue to support each other with accountability calls after your program. So if you go over for format for accountability calls here in column D, you'll see when you do your calls, one person's going to open the call with an inspirational thought. Plan ahead of time what questions or concerns you have, go over the homework and questions, and suggest ways that you can help each other. So when you're meeting for your foot zones, which is column E, if you get to meet in person, here's some suggestions for meeting in person. Decide who's going to receive the foot zone first. Or you can have one foot zoner practice on the other foot zoner and then switch. Number 2, treat the experience as if you were seeing a client. That's where you're going to get your best practice. And number 3, begin and end the foot zone is suggested from the art of foot zoning, which we'll talk about that video in just a minute. And then end the foot zone with maybe some constructive criticism. So not just criticism, but constructive criticism. So make sure and point out the good things they do as well as the things that they can work on. I'm sure there's questions now about accountability partners or accountability calls. This is usually something that people have some questions on. So I'm going to review and try and clarify things while I give you a moment to type any questions for Alex into the box. So again, accountability partners, they're either partners of 2 or partners of 3. Meet in person once a month if you live close, and the other 3 times over the phone. If you don't live close to one another, all the times that you meet can just be over the phone, and you can just follow the outline here. But we do suggest contacting or connecting with each other at least once a week, following the format here. Okay, let's go down to the bottom. We're going to go to the next tab, which is group schedule. This just goes over the dates for our calls. You'll notice all of the time is at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and you'll see the different dates that we're doing here. For the majority, and all really but one, it's going to be the first Wednesday of each month, with exception to number 2, which is going to be on July 6th instead of July 5th, which is a Thursday. So those are when we're going to be doing our training calls. These calls will be recorded, and you can listen to the recording. Although I do suggest being on live. We won't do a webinar again like we've done today. They're going to be phone calls, and they're going to be interactive so that you can ask lots of questions and give any suggestions. Okay, let's go down to the bottom, and you'll see the arrow over here. I'm going to push that arrow. We're actually going to go to month number 1. So your first month's homework. So for this month, you'll see the homework is clearly marked here. Now, you'll see in column B it says mark when completed. This is a great way for you to keep track of when you're done with something. Just make sure and go up here to my copy before you mark things and go to month number 1 so that you can mark your own as completed. And I just put an X by mine once I'm done. Okay, going back to the master sheet, which we aren't going to mark up, you'll see the homework for month number 1. The first thing you're going to do is give 10 hours of foot zones. Not 10 foot zones, 10 hours of foot zones. So if it takes you an hour and a half to do a foot zone right now, you're going to log an hour and a half, 1.5 hours for that foot zone. And you need 10 hours worth of foot zones. Now if we go down to the bottom, we're going to skip ahead real quick here. This tab right here that says log sheet, this is very, very important. When you take your final for your certification, in order to get your certification, you have to have a log sheet with at least 50 hours of foot zones recorded. So you'll see here a place to put their name, the date and time you did the foot zone, and then the contact info. Now the contact info is not important to me, but it will be important to you. You want to get everybody's contact information, because once you start foot zoning, once you get your certification, that is going to be your client base list. are those people that you've practiced on. Make sure and get their contact information. Check into something like MailChimp or Constant Contact where you can enter their email address. I would suggest getting their email address and their phone number. Okay, so back to month number 1 now. Oh, and you can print off, by the way, you can print off this log sheet very easily. I prefer a paper copy, or you can, again, you can go to My Copy, you can go to your log sheet, and you can enter everything electronically, and then print it off or make a copy and send it to us when it's time for your final. Okay, but if you do want to print it off, it's really easy. You're just going to go up here to File and down to Print. And you can print your own sheet off that you can take with you. Just don't lose it. Okay, back to month number 1's homework. So you're going to give your 10 hours worth of foot zoning, and you're going to make sure that you log it. Number 2, you're going to receive a foot zone from an instructor, or if that's not possible, you're going to watch the sample foot zone video. Even if you do get a foot zone, I would suggest watching the sample video, which you'll see down here at the bottom. Here's a link, and you would just click on that link, and your video is going to show up with the YouTube link, and you can watch your video right here.
Welcome to Sample Foot Zone by Family Foot Reflexology. Hey everybody, this is Allison.
Okay, so you can see that there. Now I'm going to go back to the Google Docs, so it's really cool because all your links are right in here. Number 3 is you're going to, let's go back to number 2 for just a second, because here's a question that people often ask. Do they have to pay for the foot zone? No, you've already paid for it with your practitioner training program. So just contact an instructor and let them know you want to set that up and that you're a practitioner in training. Okay. Next, number 3. Look into the eyes of those you see on the street and the store. Send loving energy and write what you see in their eyes and feel in your heart. Now, you may be wondering what this has to do with foot zoning, but it's very important, because the least that you can do for somebody is to look in their eyes and love them when they come and when they are preparing to get a foot zone. And you'll notice that eye contact really helps with your client relationships. So this is a good practice. Number 4, incorporate one new tool you learn from the videos and implement them in your practice. And 5, choose 2 books that you plan to read throughout the program. Have the titles ready for month number 2. So we do have a suggested reading down here at the bottom. If you go down to suggested reading, here's a list of books that we like, but you feel free to figure out if there's a different book for you. You're welcome to read that. Okay, back to month number 1. Number 6, attend your accountability partnership meeting. Okay, here are your resources in column C. So this resource is your access template to the foot zone chart. This is wonderful, and I'm pulling this up here because you want to print and use this. This is what you're going to start using on the clients on whom you do a foot zone. Up at the top, you're going to write the client name, and you're going to put today's date, the date that you're doing the foot zone. Then you're going to ask the client, what is the intention of your visit? Now, some people are going to say just to rest and relax, in which case you're just going to have them sit back and relax. There might not be a lot of interaction. Some people may be looking to figure out what's wrong with them, and you're going to verbalize maybe what triggers show up. Some people, their intention of the visit is just to see what happens, and in that case, you let your intuition guide you. But here's a chart. It's great for them to see how the body's mapped out on the foot. You can also circle or highlight problematic areas on the foot. And down here at the notes section, I would write down the areas of the foot that are showing up that seem sensitive to the clients or that have triggers, and maybe write suggestions by them if you have it. Okay, now at the bottom you get to write their next appointment and then items to consider after this foot zone. What are some things that they can work on in between the foot zone? Are there any oils you would suggest or anything that they could do? Okay, so that's a very powerful sheet that you're going to start using from now on. Now here's another tip. When you're done with your client visit, before the client leaves, after you've taken notes on the sheet, just go to your printer and make a real quick copy. That copy goes in your client file, and before that person comes the next time, you can pull it out, and it will be a reminder on what you worked on last time. Let's go back to our client sheet. The next thing under here is to watch the keys for retaining clients video. So again, it's a YouTube link. You're going to watch that. Number 3, print outline for keys for retaining clients to make notes on while watching the video. So probably print that out before you watch the video. Print out the Art of Foot Zoning outline as well, and then there's 2 Art of Foot Zoning videos that you can watch there, as well as your sample foot zone video. Okay, in column F, you'll see the things that we'll talk about on our call next month, so you can be prepared for that as well. Okay, any questions about the homework? Just go to your chat box and you're going to write those in for Alex right now. Okay, we're going to go on. There's a couple of more things to cover. You'll see month number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to go over all of those on our subsequent calls. There's also a tab for certification renewal. It just goes over a couple of items about certification renewal. I'm just going to change this real quick because that was from last year. There we go. This is when just what you need to do to certify or renew. Keep your certification current. Suggested reading list. We have our log sheet. And then here we have our rubric for a final. If you are completely familiar with this, you will do very, very well on your final. Okay, it's kind of worded a little bit differently, so let me go over this. There's 5 areas on which you will be graded during the live portion of your final. Each section has a possible 5 points that may be earned. To pass your live portion, you must score at least 18 points to pass. If you do not pass this portion, you may retake it after 30 days for an additional $50. We've only had one person not pass, and they were very ill-prepared, but everybody else has passed because they have this rubric. So preparation, these are what we're going to be marking off for. You are ill-prepared, the room's not prepared, and you're lacking materials. Okay? You're somewhat prepared, the room's somewhat set up. You can go and look at all of these on your own here and see what we're looking for. We're also looking for some things to introduce. When you're talking with your client, you want to mention the history and precautions to the client. You want to share these. You want to mention the history of the foot zone. Okay, we're also going to be looking for emotional coaching, for technique, and for closing. I'm going to let you read over those on your own, and then if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to us. As we get closer to the final, we're going to go over these some more in depth, but right now they might not make very much sense. But just know that that's there and be prepared and look at that now so you can be prepared for your final. All right, so that is our sheet, everybody, and each month on our calls we're going to be going over any questions from the previous month's homework, and then we'll be reviewing the homework for the upcoming month. So our next call that we're going to be doing, we'll talk about month number 1's homework. We'll ask if there's any questions, and then we'll go over detail what we're going to be covering in month number 2. So hopefully this helps familiarize you with your Google Doc, which is going to help you stay organized and on track throughout this program. We're going to go ahead now, and Alex is going to go live, and he's going to answer any questions that you may have. So, Alex, I'm going to turn it over to you. Bye, everybody.